This is Mitch King with the Daily Stock Report on Tuesday evening, November 24th. This is a look at the daily chart for the Dow Jones 30. You see the downtrend line that I drew last night. We had a slightly positive day. Most of the day was in the negative side. So it looks like that the market stalled and very possibly will start heading downward. And I'm thinking that might start tomorrow. I'm thinking that we'll start seeing this head down here, possibly to a lower low, but that's hard to tell. If that happens, it's sure going to be a real negative time, as we've been seeing this roller coaster ride. People get excited going up and they get scared to death going down. All I'm really thinking about at this point is that we have sold our long positions by tomorrow. Consider opening short positions for those who are confident to do that or are advanced traders. Let's take a look at a couple other stocks I've been watching today. A lot of the tech stocks did not do well today. The Nasdaq was down. The Dow was only up 36 points. Apple, Microsoft, Hewlett-Packard, Research in Motion, all these tech stocks were down today. So when the market really starts turning over, they're going to obviously get hit harder. That's why I noted in the report tonight, in the text report, the stocks already dropping. Stocks that I noticed really were moving down today. Apple had a pretty big drop today. Let me show you the 3-minute chart on that. Here's the stock at about 95.50, dropped all the way to almost $88. That was just for a brief moment there. Really the main number of trades occurred at the bottom at 88.50 to 88.60 and had a $3 bounce there, which is about 3.3% profit. I got a little bit of this on the short side, but that's pretty advanced type of trading for you. I'd really rather you focus on these intraday trades on the long side until you're really comfortable with reading a top. What really is a challenge for most people when they're learning, as well as those advanced, well-seasoned traders, is to be able to be nimble enough to go both ways. To be short going down, going long here, and seeing that turnover here and going short. So if we take a look at some of the stochastics and the other indicators, as we see the MACD here, this drop here, rebound up here, and you can read all these together. And really, if you do a left click on this mouse, you'll see the crosshair on the vertical side all the way up and down here. You see how this all lines up, and I keep trying to show you a little bit of these short educational tutorials, how to read these how to read these charts. So if you take a look at the price on the left and the right column, 91.82 there is the peak, and you could have made another, what is that, $2? Yeah, a little over $2 on that drop there. So you can make it on the short side. If you miss that, you can go clearly on this long and then the short. And anytime you follow a single chart pattern on an intraday chart as well as a daily chart, you really rack up the profits, which is really something I'd love to see you guys do. That is, make a lot of money. Let's run through a few other stocks that are already dropping on that list. Here's Hewlett-Packard, had a 6% drop today. Here's Research in Motion, was down 8.3% today. That's a real negative warning I'm seeing for this stock, because the market was still somewhat bullish today. Microsoft head down about 3.3%. Pepsi came down. Food stocks usually have been pretty strong in a recession here. Here's oil and gas stocks starting to head down. I'm just noticing these were on my list of 125 to 140 stocks that I watch, that I keep on my watch list. Potash was weak yesterday. Didn't have much of a bounce during 2 real big days, so I think we're going to see some lower lows in this stock here. This is kind of the direction I'm seeing on this stock. Even though it's dropped down from $205 to $59, we've seen a lot of stocks crash and drop 70, 80, 90, 85% of their value in the last since July this summer. And these ag chemical stocks, which are commodity based, have really been following this precipitous drop we've seen in the oil, which is a commodity. And by the way, oil has dropped 6.8% today, down to $50.77. saw at the gas pump today, $1.75 here in Oregon. It's probably about $1.58 in the Midwest, St. Louis and Kansas, Iowa. So this trend is not stopped. Let's take a look at this on a 2-year cycle here. There's 147 there in mid-July this summer, and all the way down to a bottom of, I believe, 47, isn't it? Okay, $48, $48.40 right there. Eventually we're going to see a bounce, but you've been hearing me saying this for 2 months and watching it drop from 100 to 50. Here's another NASDAQ stock, Amazon.com. All I'm trying to show you is the chart pattern, what you're looking for in a market that's strong the last few days. You start looking for stocks that are turning over and not following the market where they're starting to head down first. So it's got my attention. Here's ExxonMobil. I mentioned last night that these big, large oil companies might pull back a little bit. That's really not a tradable idea there. Let's take a look. I'm just trying to keep you alert of what's happening. Here's the natural gas ETF, almost down to a new low there, down 6%. The cost per however many thousands of cubic feet is down to $6.50. So that's quite low. This was up to $17 along with the high in oil earlier this summer. Chinese stocks continue to get selling off more than the other stocks. Nothing heavy yet, but it's just still noticing that they're weak. They're not following through with any upside. Here's the intraday chart for RIM. Really not a tradable stock today, and it'll probably be the same looking chart tomorrow. Not near of a clear of a bottom as we saw in Apple. Here's Monsanto, nice drop, $75, dropped $5 over $4.50 here, and then bounced back up over $3.50. So that's really an excellent trade. Almost 5% on this trade on the long side, let alone the short. So it really was a good trading stock today. You know, you're really trying to read these charts. This technique seems to be really dominating everything else we're doing. Of course, we've had a good 2 or 3 days on this long side, and we'll try to get that on the short side for a swing trade for a couple days next week. We'll take a look on Friday, which I talked about earlier was just quite negative. Nothing really tradable there. There's JP Morgan. I know it shows a zigzag on a daily chart, which you can turn these into a daily chart. Now here's Goldman Sachs today. Had a high of 74.50, dropped $7.50, had a tiny little bounce. I mean, this was pretty much a worthless trade. I think I tried to trade this a little bit on the long side, and as I recalled, I was a break-even, maybe slightly profitable, and I told myself just forget it. When you see charts like this, they're really hard to trade with the small changes on the zigzag. I mean, this is a big change, but I missed Goldman Sachs on the short side today on this big drop. You guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you Sunday evening. I'm going to take a day off on Thanksgiving and not do a report Thursday night. Just really put the odds in your favor. Watch these charts and just keep your position size and stay disciplined. You guys take care and have a great time with your families.